Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best 5 brawlers for every single game mode inside of Brawl Stars in 3 versus 3 only. So it's really going to help you out in ranked predominantly, but also can just help you in your trophy pushes and just push the best brawlers on those game modes so you get 3 trophies and 3 rank gains. So let's start off with Heist. So one of my best and favorite brawlers in Heist has to be Berry. He's going to be really good on maps like Pit Stop and Hot Potato in particular. Can work in the other Heist maps as well. The reason why it's so good is because he's got a gadget that can deal 20% of a Heist safe. So that means you just need 5 gadgets on a safe to win. It's broken. Kaze is also great in Heist because with Kaze you can create so much space, and as one of the best attacking brawlers you always need good offensive pressure in Heist, and Kaze's got to be one of the best at doing that because in her Geisha form she can create so much space. She has such a fast reload speed and she can just dash up the map easily, and then once she gets onto the Heist safe she deals so much damage so quickly, and some brawlers take forever to take down the Heist safe with their supers, hypercharge, etc. But Kaze just needs her main attack to rip through one shield. Melody is also in the top 5 for Heist because with Melody, again, you need an offensive brawler. Melody has to be one of the best. All you need is to get onto that Heist safe once and you can easily melt through one shield. And then when you get your hypercharge as well, you're going to rip through it so incredibly fast. So the amount of pressure that you can create with Melody and Kaze is insane, and you need to push them in Heist. So in Heist, you always need a kind of hybrid brawler that's good offensively and defensively in your draft, and Amber is one of the best at doing that. So with Amber, she's a great defender because you've got Dancing Flames gadget and the pure damage she can output, and then if she gets onto the safe as well, you can easily throw your super on the safe and just deal so much damage. She's really versatile. She's great on the bushier Heist maps as well. She's such a strong Heist brawler. Last brawler in the Heist top 5 has to be Colt. So Colt has redeemed himself a lot since the buffies. He's nowhere near as broken as before, but he's still a really good attacker. You know, if you leave Colt on a safe, he is going to rip through your Heist safe, but he can also defend himself a little bit better now thanks to his speed loader gadget. So yeah, it's a hot hybrid brawler right now. Mainly attacking the presence is going to be your best attribute with Colt. So now moving on to Brawl. We've actually got 6 brawlers in this game mode because I just couldn't pick between them. There's so many good options here. First one being Frank. So Frank is really strong in the meta overall right now, but I think he's the best inside of Brawl because it's really hard to stop a Frank if you don't have the right answer. He can just walk through your team and get easy goals with his super, with his hypercharge, with his gadget as well being pretty strong. His sponge star power makes him so tanky. It's Frank at the end of the day, and there's hardly any counters to him in Brawl. Shade is next, and I absolutely love/hate Shade inside of Brawl. There's a couple of maps like Pinball Dreams, the maps with a lot of walls, dribble. Shade is just such a nuisance to deal with, mainly because he can create so much pressure, and there really isn't that many great shutdowns to Shade in a game mode like Brawl. Yeah, he's just so frustrating to face off against. Otis is next in the top 6 in Brawl, and you've guessed it, with Otis, he is such a consistent brawler because he's one of the few brawlers that can actually shut down that offensive pressure, and he has some great range to go with it as well. There's a lot of bushy maps which he really deals with assassins and tanks really well there, again because his range and because he pairs really well with the vision gear there. So yeah, Otis is one of the best shutdown brawlers for sure. Next up I went with Spike. So Spike is pretty broken everywhere right now, but in particular Brawl because his biggest counters aren't really very prevalent inside of Brawl, and you do need a good shutdown to a lot of the aggressive ideas. So Spike can completely take over with his hypercharge. He's really good on those bushy maps because of the vision gear. He's just such an exceptional brawler in Brawl. Ems is next, and I know it's another buffy brawler, but I can't go without saying that Ems is one of the best brawlers in Brawl because, again, you need this brawler that can take over, create space, and get team wipes if needed, and to just take control of maps like Center Stage, Sneaky Fields. Ems is so good at being inside the bush and getting good presence as well, but she can deal with assassins on her own completely with the knockback. Yeah, it's Ems at the end of the day. She's very broken, but Brawl is definitely her best game mode. And lastly, for the top brawlers in Brawl, I went with Rico. So Rico's the absolute hard carry pick right now inside of Brawl because there's so many great options for him. Sneaker Field, you got Center Stage. It's really hard to deal with Rico inside of Brawl because his typical counters aren't really too prevalent inside of Brawl, and you can get away with going in pretty much everywhere in Brawl. So now moving on to your top 5 brawlers for Gem Grab, starting off with, you've probably guessed it, a lot of these brawlers are going to be assassins and aggro brawlers because that's how the Gem Grab meta is, and Lily is one of the best brawlers in Gem Grab for that reason. So with Lily, it is mainly because of her unpredictability with her Vanish gadget, and overall it's really hard just to keep track on her. It doesn't matter how many times you kill her, she can just get one moment where she either supers or hypercharge supers onto you, and she can turn around the game in a flash, and you can't do anything about it because that vanish gadget is so incredibly broken. So she's one of the best easily in gem grab. So now moving on to Ali. You've guessed it, another assassin brawler, but the reason why they're so good is because they're so evasive and so good at turning around the game. Again, all Ali needs is just one moment. They could be dying over and over again, and it doesn't matter. The last time that Ali goes in, she can just get the kill on the gem carrier and get out. And the good thing about Ali again is her evasiveness. Just like Lily, Ali can jump over walls if need be. She can create space so quickly. She can go invisible as well. There's so many broken mechanics about Ali. She's insane in gem grab. Next up, we have another assassin. It is Mortis. So Mortis is really great in a couple of other game modes as well, but gem grab will always be his best game mode in my opinion because of that turnaround potential. With Mortis, the reason why he's so strong is because he can constantly create pressure with his dashes and get in behind enemy lines, but it's because of his two gadgets. He got one gadget that goes through a wall and can deal like 3.5k damage. So if your gem carrier is squishy, well, Mortis can just quickly dash in and then just slash a gadget through a wall and you're dead, which is crazy. And then on the other hand, you've got the other gadget, which is also very, very broken, which can go through walls and create so much pressure. So two broken mechanics with Mortis, making him a nightmare for enemy gem carriers. So Mina is next on the list, and it's another assassin slash damage dealer, but the reason why Mina is so good is again because of the space she creates. You see a common theme here in gem grab where probably people go too many like support control brawlers. Just you need at least one brawler that can go and create some space, and Mina can do that just literally with her main attack. She can just go up, and if the enemy gem carrier or anyone is trying to, you know, rain some fire onto her, she can just pop her buster shield bubble gadget, whatever it's called. It's complete, I think it's windmill. It's completely broken, and then she can just go in and create even more pressure. So the more pressure she creates, it allows her gem carrier to collect more gems, and she's just creating pressure with every single life. It's crazy. The final brawler in the top 5 list for gem grab has to be Crow. So the reason why I really like Crow is because he's a super hard kill. A lot of assassins will find it difficult to kill a Crow, mainly because he's so tanky just as in his normal form, but you've got his really strong shield gadget, and because of the short cooldown with it as well, it makes him one of the hardest kills inside of Brawl Stars. It really does, because you've got his star power as well that reduces damage. You've got his jump that a lot of gem carriers use to get away, and Crow, he's one of the best gem carriers, but he can also play as a lane if needed. So Crow is very annoying in gem grab. So now we're going to be moving into the best brawlers for Hot Zone, starting off with Finks. So Finks in the pro meta, he's still one of the best brawlers, but there are counters to him, which we'll go into in a little bit. But it still Finks at the end of the day. He can just create so much pressure alone from his super. His super is one of the best inside of the game. His super is literally the same size pretty much as a Hot Zone. So he's just made for this game mode in particular. He's also got a lot of health, so really good survivability. He's faster movement speed as well. There's just so much to like about Finks. He's just a perfect brawler for Hot Zone. So speaking of one of the Finks counters, but also he's pretty good because of the recent buff he got, is Poco. So Poco, whenever he's meta, Hot Zone is always Poco's best game mode, because it is one of the few game modes where you're inevitably going to charge your super, right? Especially with a brawler like Poco. You know, they've got to push into you, especially if you're on the zone, so if they're going to be charging your super, he can just go through supers and chain like crazy, because it only takes 4 hits to gain that super. He's also a great like counter to Grey Cheese as well, so he's probably the best Hot Zone brawler right now. The next brawler in the top 5 for heists is Grey. So the Grey Cheese is absolutely crazy right now. You compare Grey with so many different things. It's mainly going to be a brawler that can take space, or at least very tanky. So a lot of the pairings of maybe like Draco, Frank, because Grey can set, especially with a hypercharge, he can set 2 teleports and get it directly into the middle of the Hot Zone. And if you're constantly cycling through your team and just cycling onto the zone, you're going to eventually just overwhelm the opponents so easily. There's only a couple of counters to this Grey Cheese, like Lou, Poco, and I don't really know anything else. It's just such a broken strategy. This is next for Hot Zone. So Ruffs, I really like him because there's a couple of maps like Open Business where a lot of like Ruffs streets can open up the map, and if you pair your hypercharge with a really strong Hot Zone brawler like a Draco or a Frank or something like that, then they can completely take over the game. So Ruffs he's pretty decent in a lot of different situations, but I really like him in Hot Zone. So the final brawler for the Hot Zone best brawler list is Glober. So a new addition inside of Brawl Stars, and a lot of people are still feeling out Glober, seeing what his best matchups are, best situations, etc. So I think Hot Zone is probably his best one, mainly because you see a lot of like Frank, Ruffs, and other wall breaks. and he's a perfect like support brawler there, because his typical counters like Bell, a few other brawlers that stop him from grouping up, well, they're not that prominent in hot zone, so you can just get so much value. He gets value pretty much instantly in hot zone. He's insane. So now moving on to knockout. So the knockout meta right now is predominantly a lot of snipers. I mean, you can do like a last pick Fang or something aggro like that, but it's not actually that prevalent right now. It's all about the snipers. So first off, we've got Angelo. So Angelo's one of the safest snipers out there, because especially when you play ranked, you can switch between his gadgets, whether you want to jump away or you can pierce through a wall and deal 4k damage. But again, it's Angelo at the end of the day. You can always just be safe going him. Gene is next in your top 5, and the reason why Gene is so good is for a few reasons. One is because of his scouting. He can scout so easily with his main attack and the vision gear. He's got magic puffs as well, so in knockout typically you like to group up a lot, and you've got his pull. So if you save your pull towards a good moment where you know you're gonna guaranteed hit it, it's gonna win you the round. If literally you get a 3 versus 2 in knockout, most, I'd say 90% of the time you win the round. And that gene pool, there's not a lot of brawlers in the meta that tank a gene pool or counter a gene pool, so it's perfect for knockout. Brock is next in the top 5, and it's pretty plain and simple with Brock. The reason why he's so good is because he can counter so many different brawlers inside of knockout. The main reason is because of his rocket fuel gadgets. So you think of New Horizons, you think of like Bell's rocket fuel maps, you can break open the walls and stop that throw a cheese, and he's still a really good brawler to like just gain control of the map. It's really hard to push into a Brock most of the time, so he's gonna always just at least hold his lane. And yeah, he's super versatile in knockout. Byron is next. So Byron, again, a lot of time in knockout, you're going to be grouping it up. So Byron's just going to gain a lot of value there, because he's always going to be able to help his teammates out in their individual battle just purely through healing. And still with Byron, he can deal a lot of damage. You know, his hypercharge can guarantee kills. There's just so much to like about Byron, and hardly any counters. The final brawler on this list is Belle. So Belle, the reason why she's so good in knockout is because people group up in knockout, and with the help of just her main attack, she can counter a few brawler just archetypes. So for example, like Gene likes to group up with his magic puffs. Well, if you're hitting the Gene a lot, they're not going to group up, so a great counter there. Same goes with Byron, same goes with Buster composition, same goes with Jae Young as well. So she's like the perfect counter to so many different brawlers in knockout. So now moving on to the final 3 versus 3 game mode, we have Bounty. So Pierce, he's one of the best brawlers in every single game mode right now, but Bounty will always be one of his best game modes because it's Pierce. He's got the range of Piper, he's got the damage of, I don't know, one of the best damage dealers out there because he has unlimited ammo, and his super deals so much damage. There's only really Nani as a counter here. He's insane. So now moving on to probably the best Bounty brawler. Well, it's a bit map dependent, but on those good maps, Nani is crazy. Nani is the best sniper counter, but also being the best sniper because Nani has the most range pretty much. And you got the return to sender, you got the super that can not only break open walls if need be with these cheesy compositions, you can use that in a good way, or just make the opponents weak if you hit onto them. It's Nani. Since the damage buff, Nani's been definitely back in the meta. He's next in the top 5, and the reason why Squeak is so good inside of Bounty is because there's a lot of cheesiness that goes on in Bounty. For example, there's a lot of brawlers that can just go get the blue star and then they'll retreat because that means they've got the lead. Well, Squeak, he can shoot around walls on maps like Dry Seas and Layer Cake and create so much pressure, and he's got a gadget which is like a mini Mandy super. So again, allowing you to gain that pressure and get control of the map. Charlie is next, and it might be a little bit surprise to you guys, but I think Charlie's insanely underrated. There's been a lot of matchups for me where I've gone Charlie instead of Bounty because you've got to be careful first and foremost that in Bounty there are some cheesy brawlers, you know, like a Shade and Layer Cake or some aggressive picks like a Mortis, and Charlie's decent into brawlers like that, but also with a Spider's gadget, she can counter if the enemy goes like an Angelo, a Belle, and a Byron or something like that. And Charlie can just counter all of the enemy in just literally one pick because of the spiders. So yeah, she's really underrated here. So now moving into the final brawl of the video, I went with Gus. So Gus, again, is just a safe pair of hands in Bounty, Knockout, and Gem Grab, but in particular Bounty, because with Gus, again, is there even a brawler in the game in a Bounty meta, say Shooting Star or Hideout, where you're thinking, oh no, I can't go Gus into this brawler? You can go Gus into everything because he's such an easy brawler to hit shots with. His super can defend himself. His gadget allows him to, you know, the lack of DPS, he can get some good combo kills with that gadget. Kooky Popper. There's so much to like about Gus. Survivability as well. He can gain a lot of pressure on the map as well, just purely through his health. So yeah, Gus is a great asset to have in Bounty. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.